Hey everyone, this is Zealous here, reminding you about the March of War. This is an Armored Core Verdict Day World Mode event for PlayStation 3 players, going strong for the entire month of March. Here's the breakdown. For starters, register your team at ArmoredCoreLegacy.com. During the month of March, if your registered team battles alongside an ACL Merc and wins, or defeats an enemy team containing an ACL Merc, you'll gain a point. No points are deducted for losses, and your team can sign up anytime before the final week of March. At the end of the month, the team with the most points will receive a custom emblem, as well as 5 PSN store cards. Keep your bookmarks locked on ArmoredCoreLegacy.com to catch all the details and updates regarding this event. See you on the battlefield, and have a great war. Everybody, welcome to the Raven's Voice. Thanks for tuning in. This is Zealous here with Tierson.
Howdy.
How's it going, everyone? So here it is. We're dead smack in the middle of March of War. It has kicked off. We did a little bit of a promo for it last week. We spoke about it. We just talked about what the event would entail, a little bit of reflection of our last event, and we've got some of that planned for tonight too as well.
Can I make a comment about last week?
Yeah, hit it.
Last week can be explained with one word: filler.
Filler
last
episode.
Week was filler. We tonight we have the winners of the last World Mode event, War for November. We have Ender's Goldmoon on.
Mm-hmm.
We tried to get them for last week. They just didn't get back to us in time. So it was like, all right, well, let's jibber jabber for about 30 minutes and then call it a show.
Had to cut short, but as we said last time, we've gone over more than enough, I think, to make up for that time. So,
how is the March of War treating you so far?
Fun with the working PS3. I don't have to keep straining that point.
Yes. Hold on.
What?
Hold on. TheRavensVoice.com.
There you go.
ArmoredCoreLegacy.com. And to email us, ravensvoiceacl@gmail.com.
There you go.
Okay.
Although I was kind of waiting for your transition there to put that in. Didn't think you'd skip it.
A rough cut this time.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, March of War. Again, we're dead in the middle of it. I've really enjoyed it. I've caught a number of teams so far. I think the ones I specifically played with USAF, Air Command, Sabbath, Tyrants of the New World, Apex, and Nurgle. Pretty cool.
Did you say Nurgle?
Nurgle, Nergal.
Wow, okay. They must be on my list. I just haven't come across them yet. I was like, what, Nurgle?
They made me think of Warhammer 40k tabletop game. There was a chaos demonic faction called Nurgle. But anyway, that's another story. Yeah, it's been... Yeah, I know, right? It's been pretty chill to run into a lot of teams that I didn't get a chance to game with before, or maybe just, didn't run into in prior events. Yeah, it's, and also to see maps outside of the free battle. Thank you. That should be in free battle anyway. That's still always in the back of my mind, irritating.
I've seen a couple maps I haven't seen before this week.
No kidding? Which ones?
Yeah, I don't remember. I was like, oh, hey, all right, cool, a new one.
I'll tell you one that really struck me and reminded me of an expanded version of a map from Silent Line. I think it's called Agria M42. It's kind of like a tunnel. There's no sky to it. You're completely walled in, and it's kind of like a huge, I don't know, maybe octagonal shape.
Okay,
and there's
I've come across that one. That seems more fun than it really is.
It does. From distance.
First it's kind of like, oh, this is going to be cool, and it's like,
Yeah.
Wait, you're totally just confined, and it's not a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's... you have your pores through the middle. But yeah, there was a map in SL, I'm not remembering the name of it. It was much smaller than that. You had a similar layout with the hall. And however, the middle section, instead of being filled in with bridges, it had a more of just kind of like a really compacted arena in the middle of it you could move through. But that was like a cardboard box with some paper tubes around it to maneuver. And it was really, really tight quarters.
You're saying it's a series of tubes?
Pretty much. And then it's not a big truck. So, man.
It's not a big truck.
Had Yeah, I ended up in that tunnel. I know at least in that man for at least, gosh, like three. I think three in a row or something like that. And that was yeah, that was pretty interesting.
I have not been able to play a heck of a lot. Maybe 5 or 6 hours since the event started last weekend.
Hmm.
I'm going to be making up for that this weekend as I have all weekend off after my first job on Friday. I've got the whole rest of the weekend off, so I will be making up for it then. So, watch out, guys. You
Right on,
guys.
right on. And well, that's the best part about it. This isn't just something you have to worry about for the just the week. You got the whole month. There's plenty of time to work. There seems to be a pretty good rotation of mercs happening. People are sticking to the three game pretty well if they know they've been with a group for three multiple
I'm not a
conquest
fan of
matches.
that.
So
I'll leave. I'll be like, screw you guys.
yeah, yeah.
It's my prerogative. My prerogative is I'm going to put myself back in the pool.
Kids out of the pool. No, wait, never mind. But it's worked out. At least I know the current totals aren't completely current because I know I haven't reported mine yet.
The totals
And I
will
still
net.
got to do it.
I made a post about this. Somebody was asking for the totals, and
Yeah,
they will always be behind the curve because the event is happening constantly.
yeah.
So, Chang will do his best to put out the numbers. I think everybody but you has has turned in the numbers. So, they'll always be behind the curve, but it really does give you a good representation of, okay, well, how am I doing versus the amount of time that I'm putting in at least.
Right, right. And if anything, it's just nice to have a tally of just the run-ins, as you go through, and whether that's to see, where's my team standing, or about how much would I have to, output to get myself in a good spot for the week, or to help me win this thing for the month. Who knows?
Right, right. It's going to be interesting, and we're going to talk again. We're going to talk to the winners of the last one, who at the beginning of the March, bleh, I get those mixed up. At the beginning of the War for November, they were far and away ahead, and they were for at least half the event. But then another team started catching up heavily.
Yep.
So, but for quite a while, Enders for the March of War, or I did it again for the
War for
War for
November.
November. They had a commanding lead for a while. In fact, at one point, I saw some of the numbers before they were released. I think there was a point when they weren't ahead. So, it's anyone's game out there. You just got to play. You got to play. You got to
Yep.
find mercs. You got to make it happen. We have more mercs than last time, so and I know that they're a bit more organized as far as when they'll be on, to a
Right.
bit more varied in that regard. So, they are out there, and we have specifically even looked for some mercs that will be on in the middle of the night. That again, so that things will be varied, so that you can get on and get in there and play.
There you go. So that's the good part, coverage, because obviously when we're talking about the international community, we're going to have our people that are here, more prime time U.S. Centralish hours, 7, 8 p.m., 6 maybe a bit beforehand, and then some like dead in the middle of the night, or maybe even 3, 4 a.m. crazy stuff like that. Don't know if anyone's pushed those bounds yet, but
I'm completely random. I mean,
yeah,
I'll
it's a good
be
way
on
to
at
be.
any given time, and that's the way I am in general. I'll get the hankering to, yes, I said hankering, and I'll just get on at 11 in the morning, or at 3 in the morning, or 7 at night, and
There you go.
and I'll just be sitting there. So because when I get in queue for Merking, regardless of the world mode events or not, I'll go off and I'll get into the queue. I'll turn up my volume and I'll go off and I'll do things.
Hmm.
So I could sit in there for 30 minutes and I probably wouldn't even know it because I'm like off doing something else until I hear that little clicky click sound, and then I'll go run back and see what's going on. So yeah, anytime,
Right on.
just gotta be out there.
One thing that I do have on the docs here, I did want to mention, is the whole UNAC deal. Now, that's been interesting, and a couple of times now it was an unregistered team when I ran into it, but there was a full-ended force of UNACs with the mainly with the VTF quad that I think's been really hot over on JP side. VTF missiles, laser rifles, really solid, defense buffering and whatnot. It's just a storm. They storm in and they go hog wild, and that was funny to run into. But I've kind of smiled. I've seen some groups mainly I think the unregistered, using maybe a couple of extra Unax here and there to balance out, and that's been really funny to see. So,
I for one, wholly welcome our new robotic overlords when they decide to take over, and with open arms, and I'm happy for them to come and dominate.
straight up, I
Now,
mean,
they Unax are what they are. They're I think more than any other time in the past. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but Unax are being used a solid amount. We there's been
mhm,
various other Armored Core games, Master of Arena and Silent Line. I think there was one more in there. I can't think of it. If there was, I can't think of it offhand. That allowed
mhm,
for UNAC like scenarios, and they
right,
just weren't very popular. Well, Master of Arena, you're not really sure. I mean, there really wasn't tournaments and such for that.
yeah.
There wasn't even much of a community for that. But in Silent Line, they weren't. I can't even say they were an afterthought. They weren't even a thought.
Not really from what I saw. I mean, I always reference back to what was it, Harlequin and Badfisher MG's, I think blading AIs from at least from our community. Those saves they had in their memory card, and I think they passed that on to Mayhem, and he kept it because I ended up getting that AI from Mayhem, and that was really cool to see. But it was something you had to sit down and actually look at and invest in, and yet for the most part, it really was not something people focused on. And then the only other example I can think of outside of those two games you named is during Formula Front. Now,
That doesn't count. Doesn't
it
count.
wasn't in the mainstream, but it did have the Armored Core title on it. So in that
Nope.
one, you did
I'm
have
counting
AI
it.
controls.
You're talking about your
Yeah,
no,
no,
no.
so it had AI.
I
So
am mad about no Formula Front. No, I'm mad about it. Doesn't get to count. No, for those who don't know, you've got Gen 4, which obviously I don't like, and then just below that, as far as my most hated or disliked Army Corps is Formula Front for one sole reason. You and I, we went through this and we made sure because my anger was, or my frustration towards it was definitely pointed.
yeah, you were livid.
Um, we did not get a PS2 US version of that. They went as far as even making that version and just not releasing it. That's why we don't count it. When you talk about Armored Core, I mean, yes, there's the handhelds, and there's certainly a place for the handhelds, but you generally don't count them as part of the series. They're on the side.
Right.
So Formula Front, they got a PS2 Japan release. They made one for the US for the PS2. They even gave it some kind of super special name. It was gonna have all these other like things to it, and then they just didn't release it. So no, screw Formula Front.
Yeah, I ended up running into it via PSP. But it's funny. Even there, when it was so, I promise I'm not going to spend a conversation Formula Front. But even then, a game so centered on the whole AI functionality, I still went manual to pilot it. Come on, you got to get hands on with your AC. So,
Oh, that's what she said.
oh, look at this guy.
Actually, that doesn't work.
I
That's
know.
all right though.
But yeah, it just brings back to our event here. People they're making use of it. Whether regardless, of which type of AI they're using. Sometimes you can have one person running and you're having multiple Unix and maybe one Merc to help fill a slot or something like that. And that kind of fits in, with the few teams I've done runs where I've started with the non-registered team and in hopes of running into a registered team. That's been a couple of times. You never
That
know.
happens. That
It
happens.
it happens.
As Mercs, we have the prerogative of, if we get a message from a registered team, we pretty much have to take it.
Right. Right.
We can't not. But it's our prerogative if we take one from an unregistered team. I'll just take anything. I'm a fucking whore. So you're gonna pay me, and I'll just do it. I don't care. But yeah, you'll come across them enough.
Yeah.
Plus, it helps to vary things up a little bit, especially since registered teams are looking for mercs to hire.
Right.
So that if you end up on a team that isn't registered, it varies it up because you want there's really nothing we can do about it as mercs, but you don't want to end up with two mercs on the same team. It's just it's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
hogging the mercs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And there have been, a few points out there, and this was good to see. Well, not a few. It's just one person I ran into specifically. They were just getting into, I think, um, the world mode that we have here, and just getting into, hiring mercs and whatnot. It was kind of like their first mission. So, I think it was a data post hacking mission, and then he had a really slow hacking function on the head, and then I think he got kind of bonked by a few of the base defenses. But stuff like that, and I looked at that and I said, this is good. I really hope maybe people who hadn't got super involved in things like this before can see activity from this event and maybe catch on to it for a larger scale. We're walking around, the Mercs are walking around with these huge ACL banners, and I try to leave something in my comment too on my Merc page that welcome to March of War, or something like that.
Well,
So
that's fun. I haven't done that. I'm going to do that.
yeah, post a little
One of the-
comment, so you never know.
It's going to be a dirty comment, though.
Of course.
Of course it is. Maybe I'll talk about Formula Front in there. I don't know.
There you go. Well, that's, or you can mention the other dirty word, AC4, but besides that.
No, I don't know. I want to bring people in. I don't want to.
Okay, all right. You don't want to exclude them. Fair enough. So,
Ugh.
but yeah, fun stuff so far. Looking forward to see where it goes. And yeah, just playing this day by day, week by week. We'll see. That's about all I had for it.
All right, I think that's a good
Yeah.
point to take a break, and we'll get Enders in here, and we'll see what happens there. This will be interesting.
All right, stay tuned. Back after the break. All right, hey everybody, welcome back to part 2 of our show this week. You got Zealous and Tierson here, but we have 3 guests with us from Enders, specifically Always Godlike, aka AG. Say
Yo.
Ender, folks. Cool. We got Graphenix.
What's up?
And we have Crash.
Hello.
Hey, what's cool deal? So these are our winners from our previous event, our previous World Mode event we held through ACL, War for November. Again, we did not get a chance to sit down and cover things last week or any week before, but hey, here we are now. So just, yeah, kicking back, talking a bit, not just about a War for November, but going into March of War now. Still super fresh, right at the top of the month for that. And yeah, straight up, just some thoughts about AC, just the state of AC now, the state of, I guess, sort of where the community's at. Not going to make this too formal. You're not at a presidential address, but kick it off with a few of your ideas. So,
In fact, I have a feeling this group will do well with not being formal at all.
for show. So let's pan back a bit first. Just take your minds back to when we were in War for November, and I want to just kind of take a look at the super early lead that you guys had established, and when that kicked off, when it went down, and I guess like when you just established, was it just when you saw the event start, at least, was it a matter of just assembling your team and just booking it, just each hour you could, or how'd you kind of lay that out?
I mean, son, you want to address this? I mean, I think we pretty much just love to play,
Mm-hmm.
and we had like 8 people on, and we just could only have 3 in a team, so we'd do like 2 people and a Merc.
Mm-hmm.
We did like 3 teams of that.
So
That's pretty much
Mhm.
sweet.
and then
So
we just won a lot of the matches.
I think a lot of that is contributed to having 2 different teams out there at one time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, well that makes sense. Doubling the efforts, obviously.
Wow, you guys are nice. I would have kept it short and sweet and just, it was Tuesday. That was it.
Oh, M. Bison.
But seriously, yeah, that was a lot of loading bar.
I remember being with you guys one night. We sat there for about half an hour waiting for another team to finally join.
Yeah.
Good lord.
It even messaged me on PSN and apologized. I'm like, I went and did the dishes and cleaned up a bit while we were waiting. So.
The good old house chores while we wait for a match to connect. That's pretty standard. Even in ACV, that was pretty standard.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would always be doing dishes while we were trying to find fights.
ACV, I mean,
Yeah.
Delta, I remember in 5, we were waiting
Yeah.
around for Conquest stuff. I actually fell asleep.
Oh,
I've done
we
that
had
before.
people who used to do that all the time. Psycho Killer used to fall asleep.
General
It was
cycles.
like 4 in the morning, and we would be like searching for fights. And this was this was before you could do the like see a shield where there was some fights. So you just kind of were like hoping and praying that somebody was waiting in like Huge Canyon. But
Easy talking to sleep, man.
yep.
It was the closest thing we had to fishing in Armored Core. I mean, just the system, being slow, and it's funny because it's still something that you have now. I mean, I did a little bit of cleaning recently while waiting for stuff in March of War, but that's a very real factor. And we talked a bit about this, before we were on. It's just about love for the game, straight out. I think a lot of us see the flaws that exist with AC still, but just the willingness to just straight up play and be here. I think says a lot, and it's this for a number of reasons too. I think at the heart of it, there's people that really want to see the community go somewhere and succeed, and for there to be a community when we inevitably see AC6 and games beyond. But yeah, that stuff's rough to wade through, man.
And Enders, I mean, you guys always come off as a very competitive team, and I think that's obvious. I think people who generally have interaction with you on the forums or even in the game or whatever, they'll definitely find that you're competitive players. We've talked about on the show that things like tournaments and such have been kind of void in the community with this gen. I mean, where do you guys think an event like this sits? I mean, do you think this is the appropriate kind of event for Gen 5, for AC5 and VD, or overall, what are you guys' opinions on this kind of event?
It's whack, in my opinion. Like, not to like diss Chang or anything like that, but like the first War in November was cool and all, got a lot of people to play the game and whatnot, but it wasn't really something that's like competitive, in my opinion. There's a lot of luck. The whole random factor. So
There is
that's
inevitably, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will
yeah.
agree with that. I do think though that a team-based event, like everybody who talks to me knows my feelings on the game. That 1v1 is just not the way the game was made to be played.
No.
There's so many imbalance issues, especially like we were talking about earlier, based on the maps. But I think that if it was more of a tournament style, like 4v4, that might be a little bit more. I mean, I know that tournaments are hard to organize, especially
Right.
with a small community like ours. So I get that. But then, on the same hand, our events like this are probably just as hard. I feel like it would be the same level of people saying they would do it and then copying out, or or
Well,
more people wanting to join in the last minute, and same stressors.
Mm-hmm.
well, my how I see it is a lot of the organizers of tournaments, whatever it may be, they need to like grow a pair. If you're gonna have your tournament on one day, like and have these many guys show up or whatnot, then just go for it and do it. If somebody doesn't show up, then too bad. That's how I feel.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I agree with
Because
that. But I do think in juxtaposition, to play a little bit of devil's advocate, like like at the same time of them needing to grow a pair, it's a little bit harder in the small community as it is,
well,
because you really don't want to alienate like some people. And I mean, it's hard not to alienate people because people are all going to have different ideas about how they want to play the game, the reasons they want to play the game. Um,
Right.
but at the same time, if you're doing a tournament, you're probably a little more serious about the game.
Mm-hmm.
So you would think at that point, when you tell someone like, look, this is the day. If you can't make it, you're disqualified. Better look next time.
well, I understand that, but I mean, let's take the ACV tournaments because there was quite a few, if I remember correctly. There was one I didn't participate in that was Master of Arena. God, they need to stop using that damn name.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
no, like it got canceled. I think the Epic Fail guy, I think him and Grinch from I think those were the two guys who set up the event, and it ultimately got canceled because a lot of people didn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
And then From Chain's event, ran. Yeah, I think that one went perfect. A lot of people, some guys didn't show up, and he gave them an extra day, and if they didn't show up, then he just cut them. That's the
Right.
end of that. But that event ran, great. The team tournament that Chain threw also ran, it ran good too. But a lot of people didn't show up, but some got disqualified for that and whatnot. It got canceled for another reason, but
Some of us
When-
got shoved into other teams.
Yeah, but yeah, like when I say grow a pair, I mean like stop. Can't like if you give them an extra day, or you give them like another chance or whatnot, like, and they don't show up, then too bad, in my opinion. Don't give them like 12 chances and they still don't show up, and then you get pissed off and cancel the
Right.
entire event and screw it over for the guys who actually showed up.
And
You
Right.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
you kind
Because
of
you
took.
don't.
Oh,
Sorry,
I
go.
was just saying. I was just saying. No, no. You kind of took the last next note I was going to ask you actually about elaborating on the idea of like grow a pair. What are some of the other areas you really feel that I guess tournaments hosted today in like the AC Online era really kind of trip up on or hesitate on too much and ultimately ruin things for other players. But I mean, you kind of, I mean, you really, I think that touches on it. Really, I think it's the leniency in a sense. It's like you want people to be available and say, oh, I got to maintain my roster, in a sense, but people aren't going to show. They aren't going to show when people have lives and work and everything else. And I don't think I have to reiterate that too much. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Like,
so that makes me wonder, and I've talked about it a couple times in the show. In particular, the show that we focus a little bit on tournament rules. What do you guys think about the pay to play theory on that? Which is put down a little bit of money to enter the event, and I think that gives people a lot more initiative to make sure they show up, and then it actually gives you a prize pool. So
Yeah,
what
I
do you
was
guys
gonna
think of
say you
that?
need a pool. You need a pool for the winner.
Well, it definitely
or
weeds out.
winners.
It definitely weeds out like the people who aren't serious, who are just gonna say they're gonna do it and not show up, which saves you time when you're registering everybody. So that's kind of nice. At the same time, like I said, our community is really small, and some people might want to play in a tournament, but they might not want to pay money. But that's just something to think about, you know. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
but having a prize is incentive for the more serious players, and then you get people who think, oh, who either through ego or through actual, confidence, like are like, oh yeah, I'll beat everybody down, and then like Ark's like that,
Oh yeah, totally.
very very ego confident.
Brimming with egotistical confidence.
That's right.
Oh man,
Oh
there's
man.
there's so many stories about that even from the past. I think Tierson's talked about this in a previous show. One of the ACMMs, way back when for, I think it was for Silent Line, or was it ACMM one? Well, there was someone that came in who just started talking.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's gonna get bodied. Like you're all done. Like I got this on lockdown. This is just straight up. And then he loses. I mean, he just gets his face rocked like first round, and he just leaves. Like
He
nothing
left.
else to say.
The first event of the day, he lost like in the first round. I mean, he paid money to get in. He left. He just left right after that. Like he came. I remember him coming in. He was talking trash. Like, oh, they haven't seen anything like me. I'm like, all right, man, get your ass in there. We'll find out.
That's unfortunate, isn't it? It's like that kid at like the arcade. He's like the 15-year-old, and his local arcade. Well, they don't exist anymore. May they rest in peace. But his local
Amen.
arcade has like all the like 9-year-olds, and he's bodying them in Street Fighter 2. And then he goes to like a tournament, and he just gets rolled. But he goes in like, yeah, beat the 9-year-olds all the time. So that was
Oh
my.
man.
This was a grown man though. He was like 20 or something like that. But it was funny because like when it came for the next event, there was a lot of people at these events, and so
Yeah.
it came to the next event. I can't keep track of all of them, and we called his name for the next tournament for him to start the first round. And where is he? Looked for like 10 minutes. And we were like, did dude leave? What happened to this guy? Yeah, he left. So it was funny. Yep. But yeah, I mean,
That's
that's
funny.
the thing. If you're gonna talk trash though, you got to be able to back it up. And if you can't back it up, then you at least have to take it with a grain of
Yep.
salt. You can't.
Mhm.
Pretty
Which
much.
is fair. That's fair.
So.
Well, so let's look at the flip side of that. I mean, it sounds like
Mhm.
I mean, you guys obviously like us, you'd like to have different kind of events. But I mean, is there obviously you're participating in the March of War? You participated in the War for November. Is there anything about this event that you particularly like? I mean, this honestly a month-long event I think was fairly innovative, and it's a lot of fun. I think in that regard, I think there's definitely some pluses to it. Is there anything about the World Mode event that you guys really like that how it's going on?
It's unique. uh, I think it definitely does highlight the team aspect, which is what the game was built around, for one.
Mhm.
um, other than that, I mean, I honestly think maybe a month might be too long because, like with War for November, I noticed there was a lot of teams that started off really strong. You know, had 10, 20 points by the end of the first week, and then they just stopped caring.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think
Last
that,
week was pretty barren.
yeah. So I mean, I think maybe a month is a little too long, but other than that, I think it definitely does highlight how the game was how the game was meant to be played on a fundamental level as team versus team.
Yeah, and we kind of talk about the idea of like I guess attention spans and retention for like tournaments and events. A lot of the events go long. Like we had the recent one with Type Alex. Like I mean, it took a while for the thing to end in the first place, and I think a lot of it, the unfortunate part about that is you kind of miss some of the hype that a lot of players have earlier. They're hyped up, they're glad to be in an event, and I think it's easy to keep people engaged when you keep things rolling strong. I mean, even like the older events, like yeah, there were like 40 plus people there that day to actually play AC, but you'd be done that day. You were going to sit there and go into like day 2 and day 3. This isn't Evo.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the other way around. Here you have a month-long team event. The competitive tournaments, some of the ones we've had, they take multiple days, despite small turnouts to get in. So, part of me wonders if that's really what works against, I guess, some people maybe wanting to enter an event again or even participating in them compared to what we have now.
Well,
I mean,
I do. If it being a month long means it truly does, get the community riled up and fired up, and a bunch of people are playing again, like that's really a nice thing for like say like in that whole month, like, and remember our community is small. Like I don't know how small. I'm probably selling us really short, but like say like within this month, 20 new people buy the game. Maybe I'm selling ourselves short. Maybe I'm way overestimating. maybe let's say 2 to 20 new people
Say one
join
guy.
the game
Say one
in
guy
the month.
buys the game.
One guy. Let's say at least one dude, at least one guy joins this month. It would be nice for him to see all that activity in the mode that is
yeah,
really most fun in this game, like comparatively to everything else. Like that's one thing that's really sad about this game, in my opinion, honestly, is that like we used to have so much when there would be a lot of downtime, especially when the game started to get stale because nobody was playing a Conquest and ACV.
mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when we would have like we're the kind of team where we would have like at least, I would say at least 7 of the members of Enders play pretty consistently, like 5 to 6 nights a week,
Right.
4 hours a night. That's pretty consistent. Maybe even more than 7 members. And we would
Mm-hmm.
play like a lot of battle royale when we would get bored, or when just nobody would be there. And you can't really do that in this game anymore because so many maps, like, and so many battle royale doesn't really let you play like a lot of builds
Mm-hmm.
basically anymore, unfortunately, because like a couple of builds can just go in and dominate. Like one of our teammates just had like a permaglide, like infinite energy boost build
Mm-hmm.
that was just dual ULBs,
Mm-hmm.
and he basically had the Shinatsu, and he would just like press square and move the left stick back and forth, and like you can't play something that needs red lock. Like I was fucking around with snipers in there. I'm sorry, can I swear on this show? Is that okay?
Absolutely,
Hit it.
and I
Oh,
encourage it.
so I was like fucking around with snipers, and it was like you just couldn't shoot him. It was pretty fun. I was actually laughing about it because you just couldn't, like, you can't shoot. Like the red lock just won't work. Like the syncing issues that
Mm-hmm.
the game has, it's not like a perfect, like, if you see someone in your sights, yeah, you've got them. Like there's no more blue locking anymore, pretty
Right.
much. Blue locking as an art is dead unless you stun lock somebody
Well,
close. Is
you
almost
you
dead.
can do it. You can blue lock, but it takes a lot of luck and a lot more practice.
Well,
Definitely
in the
can't
other
do it.
games, yeah, I mean, you can't really consistently kill with blue lock. Like
No,
in
no, not at all.
ACV, I would just bring like dual sidecads into battle royale with VTF missiles,
Mm-hmm.
and you could literally just like you just shoot 2 sidecads into them VTF and just do that over and over, and you could kill ACs in like 10-15 seconds. It was pretty funny. People would get pretty upset. Um, but you really can't do that anymore because you don't have something like a VTF that will lock someone in place for your blue lock. Like it's, things have changed a little bit.
I definitely do cry for free battle in VD. It's dead. And unless like something like the exhibition comes up, I can never find anyone in there. And Conquest World Mode, whatever, that's fun. But I really do enjoy free battle. I enjoy some one-on-one or maybe just a battle royale or something like that. It really is a shame for me. I think that's my biggest disappointment with VD.
Well, if you look for the right kind of, the right few people, you can still find some free battle champions, if you will. They're mostly going to be running melee, and it's all going to be just like laser blades. And then once you run sniper rifles, and they realize like you start shooting them in the back, they get angry, which is kind of ironic since they can one-shot you in the back, and you have to shoot them like 18 times to kill them. But you can still find that. So if that's what you're looking for in the game, I mean, by all means,
Shout outs to DCZ.
Yeah,
shout out.
I know his blade.
Intimacy.
You've segued perfectly into the next thing I wanted to ask you about, which was melee in Verdict Day, which obviously got a huge ramp up from 5. How do you guys feel about melee and its place in VD?
I want my vendettas back.
It's a good starting thought.
Yeah.
Let me start by asking this question. That was pretty general. Let me narrow it down a little bit. Do you think that the place that melee has in VD, do you think that's appropriate? Do you think overall, do you think melee is too overpowered and dominating the game too much, or do you think it's appropriate?
There are certainly some weapons that could use some tuning back, like accuracy spec Murakumo's hitting from half a mile away.
In my opinion, that's more of a syncing issue.
No,
both.
Those hitboxes are literally that big.
It's both, and how the active frames on those suckers, like.
Oh yeah, active frames are huge.
It stays active.
Oh yeah.
It stays active, dude. It's stupid play.
Well, I think in terms of melee, there are some weapons that are a little bit, that are clearly better than others. I think overall melee is relatively balanced compared to everything else in the game.
It's not dominant.
No, it's not.
I don't think
it's nowhere near dominant.
I think
it's nowhere near.
I think if the infinite energy situation did not exist, melee would be pretty much the way that it was back in ACV, as far as usage. I think the only reason that people use it right now, and it's a lot of times it's in Battle Royale. You don't see a ton of it in CQ. If you do, it's a lot of Kumos. Not even a lot of laser blades anymore on JP anyways. Because
I'm telling you, it's that hitbox. Accuracy spec Kumos.
And I think, it's one of those situations where the infinite energy, and we've talked about this a lot of times with our team, it's like the infinite energy kind of gives them, it's like, think about it in fighting game terms. If you have a fighter that basically can pop something out there that has no, recovery time, there's no recovery frames on it. So basically these people they can just throw out dual ULBs, do 15 to 18,000 damage, and if they miss, they just double tap square and they're away. So that's the only issue that I have with melee as it is.
Yeah.
Hashtag wake up Shoryuken. That's a different story.
It's with the whole melee deal. It's more like, because if you look back in ACV, there wasn't really a lot of good melee dudes out there. Main reason why was because it came down to meter management. In ACV, meter management is like, just throw it out the window. Throw on Sanatsu and a high regenerating generator, and you're fucking godlike. Like, seriously, that's basically what it is. You can do everything for free. Chase somebody down, throw out the blade, doesn't matter. You miss, you're across the map. Rinse and repeat. They made it more accessible to bad players,
Well,
but
on the same on the same aspect, as primarily a tank player, I will say that I really don't even fear melee players at all, which is, I think, something that might shock some people because most people think melee is a hard counter to tanks. Melee, I don't fear it at all because barely anyone can hit me unless
Yeah,
they punch me in the butt. That's about it.
I'll tell you why you don't fear it anymore, though, is because even like people aren't using piles very much anymore. Piles have almost
Well,
almost
even if
died
someone
off.
hits you with a direct hit, they're still only they're gonna leave me at 19k or
I'll hug
kill
Well,
your
me.
that's what I was
tank
going
It's
to
one or
say.
the other.
I'll
I
hug
was going
that
to say
tank.
oh
I
yeah,
will hug that tank with
thing-
both pile drivers.
yeah. Well, then you'll kill it. But that's what I'm saying. Like now, the fact that they changed the way the glancing damage works on the piles, and the fact that they're very very rarely used. What do you have? You have Kumos that can't kill you in one shot. Can
They
come
can
pretty
do a lot of
close.
damage in one shot, but they cannot
Right.
one shot most tanks.
And laser blades, which
Well-
are even less damage typically. So
I don't know. Dual Moonlight's dual lamp is pretty nasty, even to tanks,
as well, how many people are running that though?
and not enough.
Even on JP, you don't really see a lot of good melee dudes out there. A lot of them played the game for like the first month and then just left. So, or they went on to Final Fantasy because of how the maps, the energy, and all that jazz is. So,
See, and that's a really interesting comparison. I think you have a lot of people in our community, especially those who aren't on JP side, who don't, I think, get to see like the different biases or like the other side of what the JP community is doing. Sometimes there's an assumption, oh yeah, it's hot here, it's just the same things running over there, but that's not the case.
yeah.
But that's interesting, especially you're mentioning people parting fast, over the. I think you have a lot of things kind of colliding with each other in terms of mechanics. Quick Boost has been with us since AC4, and while it's been toned down, for 5 and Verdict, you come into Verdict Day with more energy freedom and everything, and will compound the issues, and then your permaglide boost and everything, and I think Danny said it well. Hit and then quick get out of jail free card, start moving again. A lot of the issues kind of compound together, but that's a bit of a bummer to hear that on the JP side, that you had people leave that quick. Wow.
Like 1.01 was ugly. You seriously, if you saw I think there's some Nico videos out there. If you it was ugly. Like tanks. If anybody complains about tanks, I don't even know why tanks are how. Like tanks are coffins. Don't even call them tanks. They're just coffins.
No. He's right.
They're coffins. And then we got like Rogan. I see Rogan in like a giant, huge tank, just huge, the biggest, heaviest, buffs out everything. I'm like, what is he doing? He just made a big ass coffin for his entire team. That's it. Like, if you're in a tank, you're gonna die. That's it. If you play a confident team, you're in a tank, and your team isn't set up to defend that tank, because that's where that's where we are now. You have to have a squad to defend a tank. I don't even know what From Software was thinking, but maybe it's because of cats like Shotman, being dominant on ACV and streaming it, in a tank or a sniper cannon tank. But now it's like, it's bad.
He's one of the last few big players that still plays consistent, right? He's still around. I haven't been on.
Shot's still there. Kaigon's still there. Yeah, Sloth is still around.
Well, oh yeah, Sloth I saw a couple weeks ago too. Yeah.
Cypher came back recently only because of the Unex.
Oh,
I
that's
think
right.
Zuma still plays.
Oh man, it's so funny. Like we should tell them about. There was a time when the AC kill leaderboard, which is really the only leaderboard that we kind of respect anymore as a team, because basically you have to put in points to get to like to get to the special sortie, and then you have to get kills in special sortie. So that's
And then you have to win the special sortie too.
And you have to do it while invading, not sitting on your turns.
And there was a time when in the top 10 there were 3 UNEX, all from the same team, and they all had like above like 30 years. It was like 30 to 35 kills.
Nice.
So
wow.
Yep. So that guy just would grind, and then he would just take his UNEX into special sortie, and they would murder everybody. And that's something like you'll never see in North America. You'll never see somebody spend like the hours that this guy probably spent setting up his team of 4 UNEX. They were all LRJs, the new, what I call like the midweight, the MRJ, like the mid.
UNEX are fucking scary in Japan. Seriously.
Yeah.
You bring up two interesting things I wanted to talk about. Let's start with the first one you guys are touching on a bit. Especially for Zealous and myself who don't play on the JP side, and we've talked about picking up the JP version. But tell it for those who don't know. And a lot of the players from the international side have gone over to the JP and stay there. Some don't. Some come back and forth. But tell us about the JP side. What's going on over there that's so much more attractive? I mean, it's obvious that there's a lot more players, but what else is going on?
I am not the most dominant player there.
Real
I
talk.
guess that would probably be the biggest draw. Is not only is there more activity, but there's more activity
Monsters.
and more competent activity.
Mm.
It's not just some guy who got the game for Christmas and is rolling in with 3 side UNACs with junk ACs
Well,
every
if
other
you're
match.
passionate about the game, you always want competition, and
Yeah.
you want to grow because competition makes you grow and stretch yourself as a player. And so, like, believe it or not, I would say the majority of our team who plays a lot actually enjoys losing more than winning. Um, and that's the truth. That is honest truth, and it's because when we lose, we get to learn something about the game. We say, well, why did that happen? Or we get to analyze it. Some teams do that, and I give respect to them. And
Why
some
can't
teams,
you get this shotgunner off my ass?
Yeah.
yeah. Well, then there are those times when you just can't get the shotgunner out the tank's ass. Unfortunate.
It's that reminded me of a story. It was like when I not when I first went over there, but when I started spending more time on JP, I met this one player. First buddy I had over there, truth be told. It's the same guy we were talking about with the UNX Cypher, but back in ACV he ran a sniper cannon tank. Never seen one before, ever. And I'm a pilot, and I'm like tanks, whatever. This dude like one shots me. Start of a game on executive sector. First of all, he's on one of the highest buildings on executive sector, faster than me. I'm like in a tank, and then he one shots me. I'm like, what I get hit by? So fast forward, I tell my buddy, I tell Swordfish no, I tell this cat I knew before Swordfish, Deception. I tell him, yo, put sniper cannons on your tank. Put sniper cannons on your tank. He's like, why would I do that? Sniper cannons ain't got no lock on. Makes a big deal about it. Swordfish does it. And then Swordfish starts getting kills. You know what I'm saying? And then it just starts. It's just snowballed into something like ridiculous. And then on the forums not too long ago, people started claiming that sniper cannon tanks are kind of OP. So, and then oh man, but the guy who, in fact, Chang. I got Chang, Chaos Knight, and Reaper got money to fight him in a 3v1 on a first day fought on an Alpine base. He bodied all 3 of them. It was hilarious. Chang had an autocannon thing. It was back when Chang was like,
Talking about the old man, or are you still talking about Cypher?
Cypher. Nah, Chang hasn't fought Big G, but it was chaos. I was telling these, people are looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, sniper cannons on a tank is the thing. But they're like, yo, you ain't got no lock on. I'm like, dude, just do it,
Well,
And like
to be
Chang
fair, it
fights
worked
him.
a lot better in ACV because tanks didn't suck.
Yeah,
But suck now.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
mean,
Chang,
and
Chaos
they
Knight.
changed the way that the damage is done on sniper cannons as well. And it's the same sort of thing with piles. I wonder if it had something to do with. I almost sometimes wonder if it has something to do with the games having slightly better frame rate and slightly better syncing than the last game, and
Nah,
whether
it has worked. Yeah, the
I don't know if it
syncing.
has work. It's weird. It's weird.
It's like I got footage of how bad it is compared to ACV.
It's
Like ACV
yeah.
didn't get bad until the end times when they just started focusing on Verdict Day. They're like, fuck this game. But in this game, from day one, it was like, yeah, tank kicks are a trap. If you're a piler and you're going up against a tank that knows what he's doing, like, yeah, and especially with the nerf, with the hitbox nerf and the range, it's like, yeah, you're gonna die. You're pretty much gonna die.
When you get laser blade from like 50 feet away, it's pretty funny too. I mean, one time when Fetty, we were in free battle and Fetty like was at the top of the Eiffel Tower and I had missile arms and I was murdering him, and he just like dips off the Eiffel Tower and like a fucking bullet, like all of a sudden I'm dead. And I was like, what? But I mean, but
How'd
Fetty,
that
you know,
happen?
was notorious for, you know, using his phone as internet, as he's messaged me a number of
We're gonna
times. So
be the most hated. I mean, we're already hated. We're gonna be the most hated. Like, yo, these guys. But I don't understand that either when you bring up laser blades. It's like I think they shorten the blade length on them, but they increase the hitbox. So the hitbox
Fucker.
expands way past the animation
It's
length.
ridiculous in VD.
yeah,
I don't know why they did that, but Zio tells me a lot that Forehancer was like just straight up blading,
Oh,
lock
yes.
on blade,
Oh,
blah,
yes.
blah.
Leg bladers.
So VD is like a
You know,
bastard of Forehancer, I guess. Never played Forehancer, but that's what I hear.
I still wonder if anyone tries to play the bull with the Toro tactic for the bull. You know, some people desperate to counter the blading strats you ran into in FA all the time, especially in the patch where they went crazy. Would literally just sit on the edge of the map and wait for someone to come flying at them like a bullet, and they just fly out, and that's how they try to win their matches.
Oh, we've done that in
First
birthday.
Oh yeah, you
Oh,
could. It happened in exhibition. I'm trying to see how many of you were in that room. A couple people went out, I think, going after Disso.
yeah. We would have people doing that in ACV, and especially
Rubex.
Japan and ACV. That was a pretty big tactic near the end of the game.
Yeah.
People would either do that or they would sit on a wall, and it made it really hard for meleeers because they would just wall kick
Yeah.
off the wall and shoot at them and get height and then do it again. The way that infinite energy combined with how much more powerful LRJ legs got in this game, it's made meleeers a lot more powerful in that respect, because now they can play at all kinds of different height levels.
Yeah.
If they choose, or they can just glide boost around like so many do.
They usually 2D.
Yeah.
Yeah, they stay 2D.
But I mean,
Mhm.
there's tricks to beat. I mean, that's like that thing that Swordfish would abuse, where he would take his tank in duels and he would sit at the edge of the map with large missiles.
Yes.
Meleeers really.
I think we're going to step away and take a quick break. We've actually been, I think this segment's been about 30-40 minutes now, but let's Zealous, is that all right? We take a quick
Yeah.
break here.
Cool.
Okay, great. We will be back in a couple minutes with Enders, and just stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back.
After the jump. Hey everybody, welcome back for the last part of our show. We usually don't break it into three, but we had Tierson. I had to step out for work and everything, but this is Zealous still here with AG, Crash, and Graphenix from Enders. Hey people.
What's up?
Hey.
Howdy.
Sounding all tired. We talked a lot, right? So yeah, we're just we've reflected on a lot here. I think we've covered some really fun ground. Everything from JP community to your team's previous experience with War for November, some of your expectations for March War and everything. Since we've been talking so much about community, there's one thing I want to point straight at here, just to look at just before we close out. This has been at the heart of a lot of discussions we've had, especially in ACL. A lot of things on the boards, and we've had flashes of this pop up, especially in the War for November topic, right? And that's specifically some of the notes in relationship to Cheng. Now, I think a lot of people, myself included, don't know the full history of his relation to the team and everything and how it went, but there were just a lot of words shared, man. Like especially during War for November. when we were talking about, the points, right? And like how things are going to be counted. Could the statistical totals, could everything be trusted? Was that going to be on the right grounds? Tell me, what were some of the grounds, I guess, that kind of created this contention with Chang? It's a lot. I know I'm delving into a pool here, man. But hey.
Oh boy.
Well, that's one of like the advantages of having a small community. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, but you can go first, Ark, and probably you, Crasher.
I got
and
nothing
then...
to say.
Okay.
I was just gonna, I know I like to talk and all, but I was just gonna, let you.
Nah, I personally have no qualms with Chang.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he has any with me. I really didn't interact with him much when he was on the team,
Mm-hmm.
and when he he didn't say much. So
Mm-hmm.
Well, you joined a little later.
a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like I still feel like I'm on good terms with Chang. I haven't
Mhm.
talked to him in a while, but I haven't talked to anybody on Skype. You guys know I haven't. I've been out of the
You've been
video
dead.
game world for like
He's
3 weeks,
been dead. Like,
pretty much almost the whole month.
rest in
Yeah,
peace.
like
Yeah.
I've
Out.
been, but I mean, even like every once in a while, I'll just like Skype Chang and be like, how you doing, and we'll just catch up a little bit, and that's nice. So I never had any qualms with that situation. I mean, I don't want to speak for other people, but I know that there were situations where people felt that, you know, as a teammate, like that sometimes his interests weren't always,
Mm-hmm.
in the team's interests, and they were rather, you know, they were he, by his from his standpoint, he was more looking out for the community,
Right.
and and I think some people sometimes felt like betrayed to that respect because his teammates were part of the community. So I think that's that situation.
Right.
From my perspective, 'cause like I said, I never had any issues. That never came down to me. Um, so I mean, I don't know. I
Right.
don't know.
Can you hit me with the question one more time? Are you asking about where the whole distrust came from when it came to the points,
Yeah,
tallying the points out?
specifically, it's something you can start there. I mean, it's just something contextual when we're talking about these events and where they've been. I mean, they're still part of the threads. All you got to do is just peel back a few
Okay.
pages. Yeah, I mean, that was there were a number of pages of discussion about that. I guess I don't know where did some of that start?
It was just the mercs Chang had. Like, sure, there were some
Right.
ACL guys there, like you, Tierson, and what's the other guy's name? What's the other mystical creature's name? I'm forgetting.
Avalon?
Not
Avalon,
not
Rix?
not not Avi. Oh, wasn't it Cleric who joined?
Cleric,
Yeah,
Cleric.
yeah.
Yes.
But there's you guys, which I was like, okay, their staff. Hopefully they don't pull no shit on
Mhm.
on us. But then Chang had like Leet Weeds, like a lot of dudes who I don't know. To me it looked like he just grabbed on the fly,
Mhm. Mhm.
and grabbing people on the fly is like how serious are they going to take it? As you can tell if you look at the final results, he had to
Mhm.
pull all of Leet Weeds' points because he
Mhm.
did it incorrectly or something like that, and that's where
Yeah, an
I
incorrect
had a lot
count.
of
Yeah.
yeah, that's that's usually what happens when you just grab people on the fly. Which I'm looking at the war for March or whatever, March Madness or
March. Still in March.
yeah,
March of War.
yeah, it looks like the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of guys that I don't think have Chang actually spent time with. You know what I'm saying? He's just grabbing them, and just to have
Mhm.
as many mercies. Like I'm not trying to like discredit
No,
them.
no,
Like,
no.
yo, they're gonna do something bad or whatever. They may not have the same passion to get things in
Mhm.
correctly as you do. That's how I felt about the
Mhm.
whole
Or even if
situation.
Chang does, I think Chang wants to do things the right way. I think that's his intention. So like,
But you can still go. You can want that, but still go in the wrong way about doing it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, sure, he's throwing the event for the like Chang is for the community. I'm not.
Mhm.
I will never knock him for, being for the community. I respect that.
well, we
But
want the community to grow just as much as he
yeah,
does. So
yeah.
Mhm.
But to me, it looks like he's randomly just grabbing, yo, you be a merc, you be a merc, you be a merc, you be a merc. But do you know if these guys who want to be mercs actually care about
Yeah, they're still gonna be
putting
there in
in,
2 weeks.
And the whole Elite Week deal just, proved one of my suspicions. It was like, see, you know what I'm saying? And Elite Weeks did a lot of work for us.
He did a lot of work. He worked hard.
Yeah.
He's on my friends list.
Yeah, a
He's
lot
not
of work.
a bad dude at all.
Nah, I'm not
We're
saying
trying to
he's,
say-
I'm not.
I know.
Yeah, I'm not
no,
trying
I'm
to
just
discredit
prefacing-
Leafs. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
when you grab personnel or TOs, you better make sure those TOs are, correct. You know what I'm saying?
Well, just spend extra time to make sure that things are going. I think that and maybe that was a situation, son, where he learned from that situation, and he is going to move forward, like with maybe in the March for November. I almost called it the March for November. Wow. Even in the March for War, maybe he's going to. That's you can tell how tired I am. Like, you can tell he's, or like maybe he's pushing harder for this one and making sure that people are getting their stuff in more correctly. I'm sure he is.
Right.
Well,
He saw something go wrong and going to scrutinize now more.
Yeah. I mean, well, he grabbed. Oh, never mind. Well, I don't know. Like I said, that's basically where a lot of my plus the event being random and times and all that jazz. But just it looked like he was just grabbing dudes who were just fresh off the street. If you guys know what I mean by that. So it's like, yo, let's sell some drugs. All right, let me grab this guy I don't know. He's gonna be the dude who holds the money. It's like, what are you doing, dude? That's how
I don't mind playing with the mercs and having the mercs, but I do think that there is you can never guarantee, even it's sort of a flawed system in my opinion in a way, because you can't really guarantee that one person's not going to hold favoritism over another, or that situation, and I don't know. It's just it gets tricky. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not gonna put them out there, but I had guys who hit me up talking about, yo, dude, if you need me to merc, I drop what I'm doing, leave whatever team they were already mercing for, and merc for us. And that there, in my opinion, that right there. And I told him, straight, like, nah, don't do that. If they grab you first, you do whatever, and I'll catch you hopefully on when you get out of their mission or whatnot. But that right there just put
it's a sign, a symbol of.
Yeah, it's like cats are doing, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
cats are doing type of stuff.
Well, what a lot of this highlights is, you're hitting on a topic of like integrity of mercs, e.g., participants. Like, how is that reinforced? With maybe names that people haven't seen a lot, or people who may have another history. How do they know that said mercs are going to count right? So, and we're kind of talking about this and playing around with this issue. Do you guys, when you look at a merc list, or you're looking for proper point counting, things like that, right? I mean, which criteria you set for a dependable situation like that, like for actually like reputable players? Like, what would you be looking for?
Like having them. I mean, I don't know. It's tough to say like how you could exactly like 100% make sure that they are being legitimate all the time. I mean, I would make sure that maybe they have a recording device and that they're recording their time. But then it's a situation where then like Chang has to review every merc's recording, and that's a pain in the ass.
I wouldn't say the whole recording, dude. All you got to do is take a screenshot of the win against whatever team you win against.
But then what's to say that he doesn't omit screenshots, and only show screenshots of teams that he merked for? This is like the theoretical worst merc in the world, by the way. So what if what if he's like, I'm not going to, this team I don't like, they're not my buddies, so I'm not going to, save any of those screenshots right there. And that's how he would talk too. He's a dick.
Well, as you know, I was taking a crap ton of my screenshots. You know what I'm saying? And when the points came out, and if I see some bullshit, I'm gonna post it up to back up my claims.
Someone has to take a screenshot. But then it comes into play of like how much work, like when does it stop becoming fun? And
it was just like how that team tournament ended. Truth be told, it was somebody thought I mean, in that one, like there wasn't a lot of gripes until what was the second round? Like the refs, everybody, respected T. T was a ref, Z was a ref. Who else was a ref?
I ref.
Mainly a lot of, yeah, Crash was a ref. It was mainly a lot of enders, but the ones who didn't really get into trouble, like me. But it even even though it was going smooth, it did ultimately get canceled because somebody
Right. Well,
claimed foul play.
we're talking about all this, and the idea of, screenshots, spreadsheets, reputable things, to keep a track of play. Of course, I think the hard thing about this is not to get caught too much in a catch-22 of red tape. That is, you're so tangled and involved in the situation that you have like 2 mercs total running for the whole event, and that's obviously not possible. Keeping one man wired up, you give him an IV drip of, like Coke or something else. I don't know. Do what you can to keep the guy running. But I mean, the thing is, these events aren't going to run off of 2 or 3 people. It's almost impossible time wise. So that I think that's the interesting thing organizers run into. You need a good force out there willing to do this and willing to do this with some integrity to it, of course. But
Yeah,
you don't want things to be understaffed because then nobody's going to get anything done, or it'll be heavily slanted and you'll know it. So
pretty much.
Yep, it's tricky. But that I think is one of the things that's tricky about an event like this. Um, so I mean, as much as we analyze and we say, well, what could be done differently to improve? I think it's a lot tricky. It's easy to surmise and easy to, say, oh well, this might make it better or this might make it better. It's really hard to, you know, actually enact that
yeah.
and then see, you know what I mean? Like there's always going to be a little bit of trial and error,
Hmm.
honestly, because none of these kind of events have really been done with this community before. So I
Right.
think, once you start finding out who your people with more integrity are, you start utilizing them more, I guess. I don't know. It's like it's not even that. It's so black, like it's not black.
Right.
It's so gray area that, does that make sense?
No, no, it does. I mean, but with all that being said, as well, and going forward from what you're taking from War for November and what you're going to experience in March of War, um, on everything you've seen, would you guys participate in future events, future World Mode events that we have like this?
I've always told cats, if you want the community to grow, even if the event
Hmm.
is probably going to be a shitty one, for,
Well,
support it. Like I'm
yeah.
not knocking, this
Right.
or
He's
like
saying
I was
theoretically.
just yeah, like just support it, dude. Like I mean, we're at home. We claim we love this. A lot of people claim they love the game. A lot of people say I wish more people play the game. Well, it could happen if people would actually just participating in small events here and there. You have cats to play with, blah blah blah. That's the end of it. But
Right.
yeah,
Well, there's so many
ifs and
people, and
buts and candy and nuts.
this community is so can be so segmented sometimes to the point where, and it's like it's sometimes it feels like where you're pulling teeth to try and bring people together, and that comes from
Yeah.
like like we talked about a little while ago, like off podcast. So we talked about how there are people who would in Armored Core V like 5V. Wow. There were people who would just you know all they would do is have 2 PlayStations and they would just sit and they would boost their territory back. I
Yeah.
don't know about you, but if I want to play Farmville, I go onto Facebook. Um, so if I want to like go and have like massive giant robots fight each other in a team-based setting, I play the game.
Hmm.
And that's a big issue. Like there's so much community that would even in Armored Core 5 that would just be content with just farmvilling up their territory and then going with their team of like 6 or 7 guys and just going playing free battle the whole time and
Right.
then like
Right.
talking trash about people and then you never see them in the game and you're like, okay, why are you talking trash when I've never played you? Like I played many people in the game and had many experiences and none of them involve you. So what grounds do you have to talk this trash?
Yeah.
So that's just an issue with any online community. And I would like to think that there are more civilized people in our community than in like Call of Duty. It's just a
Yeah.
smaller community. So what can you do?
Right. And in large part, it's still rebuilding. I want to say, and it's still recovering a lot. Like we have, I think it's really cool that we do get active people who've like maybe you've just come in with 5, or you just came in with 4 answer or whatnot, but you have people that are willing to stay. That's going to be a big part of it. It's not always going to be about the people that were here, in '97, and that's the only ones you can depend on to push any kind of initiative in the community. No, it's not. It's just not the case. So as much as people like have like disdain for next gen Armored Core, or like some of like the vets that have left, or hate it being on 2 systems and everything, I mean, hey, we kind of deal with what we've been dealt. I personally am kind of crossing my fingers we get AC back on one platform. I think that'll help a lot. However, you have an Xbox community there now. Not sure, obviously, the state of AC6, Xbox One, that's all in the air. But the whole, the console fracture wasn't something we dealt with before in this community. That was new as of 4.
Well, I'm not like I've always been like I've always played games on the PlayStation platforms. I've owned an Xbox and I've owned an
Mm-hmm.
Xbox 360. I've had very, very, very few games for them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm not like a fanboy, I would not say, because I'm never gonna bash. 360 had good games. And because they had a greater install base, they had some really cool third-party support
Mm-hmm.
games that, they got BioShock first. Let's be real, so. It took like PS3 like a year and a half or something to get BioShock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like just situations like that. Now, what like with that being said, regardless of which system I think is better or anything like that, like PlayStation has sold more units of PS4. I bought a
Mm-hmm.
PS4. I have like one game for it. I play PS. I play. I'm playing South Park right now, Stick of Destiny. I don't have PS4 games. My girlfriend yells at me every day. She's like, "Why did we spend this money?" And but but I bought it and it's there, and there's like 6 million units sold, and I don't think Xbox One has come close to that. And I don't know how if that'll factor into Armored Core necessarily. I do believe it's going to factor into other third-party support. But
Mm-hmm.
I think From Software, if Xbox has a good number of units sold, which is what I'm hoping, because that competition is healthy for development of any kind of video game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't know. Maybe we will see like a single platform for Armored Core. I mean, I think regardless, more people are going to be on PS4, so you're going to have a larger PS4 community this time around.
Yeah.
Either way, which I think. I mean, I don't. Do we have actual numbers? Has anyone ever figured that out? Do we have more like PS4 or PS3 Armored Core Verdict Day players than Xbox 360?
It's
Or
it's something I haven't crunched it statistically, but it's
It
just
seems
one
that
of those
way.
things. It's just one of those things people note. They believe it's fact. So, but time will tell about it. We still got a bit till next week. Yeah, there's some people who are paying attention to the Tokyo Game Show coming up to see if there's going to be any major announcements from Software there. Verdict Day, when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, at least for their cycle they normally run in releases, it's still pretty fresh. It's usually a couple years in between before you hear about another AC. So, hey,
Yeah.
come what may, we have people involved, and I mean, I think the current event we have going speaks a lot for where people are placed, platform-wise. You see this little caveat a lot, a PlayStation 3 event, a PlayStation 3 event, and I think it's because, we got the teams in place at least to do that. So,
yep.
yeah. But that is, by all means, that's a wrap. And the one thing last thing I do want to ask, is there anything you guys want to shout out to those of you who are going to be going against you in March of War? Any maybe pick-me-ups, maybe something that'll save, I don't know, something that'll help them donate to the donation drive or anything like that?
Man.
Not sure.
Bring your tanks, please. Everybody play tanks because I've heard that they're the most powerful build in the game, and so if you play a team of 4 tanks, you will win every time.
You know what's even better on those tanks? Weapon arms.
Just bring all tanks and bring weapon arms. Preferably bring like the heat shot, and instead of putting weapons on the back, just put more weapon arms. So you should bring the heat shot and the pulse cannon weapon arms, and just switch between those two. It's pretty solid.
Don't lose to the loading bar.
Yeah.
You will sit there for 2 to 3 hours. I know. I've been there. I'm still there. But eventually you're going to run into somebody. There's people out there. That's it.
Stay patient and stay with it. And most of all, and I can't reiterate this enough, I really hope you take this to heart. I mean, that was some top tier new tech coming out with tanks, with weapon arms. I can't stress this more. It's been here. You've heard it. So you guys know what to run. I'll leave that to you. Till then, though, thank you all for listening. Enders Hate. It's been a pleasure. Thank you guys for coming on. Hope
Thanks for having us.
hope to jam with you again about AC or something else in the future. And hey, maybe end of March of War or another event during or another conversation we're talking about. Hope to meet up with you guys again. So,
Totally, man.
Show.
all right, till then, till next week, we will catch you all same time, same place. Enjoy March of War. Get your teams out there, get active, and we'll see you in the battlefield. Peace.